Welcome to Home Care, Doors Open, where we discuss licensing, operations, and scaling your home care business. Whether you're just opening your doors or looking to unlock new doors to growth and success, this podcast is for you. Let's begin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Lucas Carroll from the Business of Senior Care, and we're back with another episode of Home Care Doors Open. Super excited today to welcome our guest, Jeff Bevis, who is a home care guru for today, who has extensive experience in the home care going back decades, and very deserving of the title Home Care Guru. So welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Lucas.
Yeah, it's great to have you on today. I wonder just to provide our audience with a little bit of context for your extensive experience, if you wouldn't mind just backtracking a little bit to kind of your years through the home care space and the wonderful accomplishments and things that you've done to date.
Sure, I appreciate that. I've been in the home care space the last 23 years, and I can preface it very openly saying I've been a caregiver 5 times in my life. And that really led me, I think, to appreciating and really finding the confluence of being in home care as an industry. So first went in to the brand Comfort Keepers in 2003 when they were first had a majority acquisition from the founding husband and wife team, and rebuilt that brand for 5 years. Went from 141 offices to 562, and also took it international to seven countries. And then we sold it. I had just earned equity, not majority equity certainly, but that was sold to another private equity firm. I exited out, did international consulting for a year, and then started a brand from scratch with my son that some people may have heard of called First Light Home Care, based in Cincinnati. We did that, Lucas, from a concept, so that's not the way to franchise, by the way. You're supposed to have an operating location that's kind of proof of concept, but I was so convinced from my Comfort Keepers success that there was still a big need in the industry for a greater focus on quality, especially, and on service. So we built First Light from the ground up to over 200 offices in 35 states, took it into Canada. Had a solid exit out of First Light in 2021, early 2021, and started consulting again. Was the COO on contract for a little brand in San Antonio called Caring Senior Service. Helped them get kind of back on the map and change some of the strategies there. And now I'm just back to consulting and helping both franchise owners, franchisors, private equity firms who are looking to acquire franchisors, and independents build their home care businesses even more successfully.
Amazing tenure and track record for yourself, and you've been through a long time in the home care space. This is kind of a broad question, but I'm curious for you. How, since the beginning, how have you seen home care change, the landscape change? What does it look like today that's different from was many years ago?
Yeah, it's definitely different. I know it's fun to go to some of the home care industry events and people say, oh gosh, things really haven't changed. I'm here to say I've seen a ton of change. And first, right up your alley, I remember going to Comfort Keepers and people were talking about state licensure. What is state licensure? And there were 6 states that required some form of licensure. And now, look where we are, north of 30. So I think, first of all, licensure is increasing and is going to continue to increase more and more in the years ahead. I don't think that's a bad thing, by the way. I think that helps us raise or keep the quality bar high. Secondly, I think the growth of third-party payers, VA, long-term care insurance, work comp, managed care organization contracts has continued to evolve and really grow in a big way. And most home care operators that I talk to also see that as a big area of change, but of opportunity too. And then I think third, the recruiting labor challenges that we all have felt for a couple of decades, even though that's still, I think, our biggest challenge, the changes in how we recruit and have to adapt and even more so recognize and reward our caregivers is something that has evolved and changed almost every year as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And I'm curious for being at multiple franchisors, you know, what do you see? A lot of our listeners are interested in getting into home care, or maybe they're in home care and they're interested in expansion in a state or a payer source or something. But for the types of individuals, what do you see? What type of individual do you see get into the home care space? It's not necessarily somebody that comes from home care, but where do you see these people come from that want to start home care businesses?
Yeah, great question. They really come all walks of life. I know, in the franchising world, sometimes there's a little bit of a tilt towards, oh, well, they must come out of healthcare. And the reality is, very few of the franchise brands have owners that came out of healthcare, typically less than 10%. So I've always found that the most successful owners have a couple things in common. They certainly have a passion for care and for giving back. Many have had their own personal experience being a family caregiver or caring for a loved one themselves, and that's kind of what opened their eyes to the industry. But if they have strong people management skills, strong presentation skills, strong communication skills, kind of those three core traits, Lucas, I think those are the folks that typically succeed even faster in the home care space.
Very interesting. I think to your point, like the unique blend of leadership style for an owner, because you have to have a strong business sense, but then also, what I see sometimes, you got to be relatable to your caregivers,
Yes.
and they want to come to work for you, and sometimes that's a very unique blend of like a personality type or somebody to have all the like the pedigree of ingredients that you're talking about to be successful.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a combination of business acumen, but then also that intangible, softer skill, compassion, really, and being able to manage people effectively. I know I've worked with many franchise owners who came in and had great management backgrounds, but didn't really relate well to people or communicate well with people. And I think in those scenarios, a lot of times folks will struggle because they think they can just convert exactly the way they managed in a corporate setting to a home care environment. Not always exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Good point, Jeff. So I'm curious for you, what are some of the exciting things that you had mentioned when we were talking previously about attending the Home Care Association conference and just being sort of plugged into what's going on? What are some exciting things that you're seeing out there in the home care space?
I think we're definitely seeing efficiencies using AI. It's still a little bit of a buzz phrase, that we see it in every industry, not just in the home care space. But I do see more and more ideas and innovations occurring using AI, whether it be for recruiting or operations. And I think that's a good thing. We just want to make sure we don't lose sight of the personal touch. It's really never going to go away. But I think that the evolving technology, AI, is certainly something that is new and changing almost daily. I think our technology, our tech stacks offerings are getting better and better from integration standpoint. You're seeing many different solutions now that are maybe just in the recruiting space or just in the operations space or just in the financial space. And you've probably seen this too, to where we used to have just kind of, chocolate or vanilla flavored systems, and you kind of had, very few choices. There are a whole gamut of choices now in every single area, whether it be scheduling, recruiting, operations, finance. And I think that's a positive too. It gives more choice, it gives more variety, it gives more kind of ramp to different ways to succeed.
Nice. The what you had said at the beginning there about the AI part, I'm curious on your perspective. I feel like that there's certain AI can help in a lot of ways, but what do you think? Is this an industry where you have an actual caregiver human taking care of a senior human? Does that give you reassurance? Are you nervous, or what does that look like from an AI perspective if you're in home care?
Yeah, I love that question because I'm just kind of chuckling because I remember probably 10, 12 years ago when folks start talking about eventually, because of the labor shortage, we're going to have avatars, that we're just going to have like these automatons that are going to be caring for seniors, and we're not going to have any choice. And that was laughable then. I think it's still laughable now. But along the same lines, I do think you're going to see more and more AI influence into the care continuum. But end of the day, it will always still be a person caring for a person. I think we'll have more technological innovations and technological tools that'll help us be able to do that even better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I get in conversations a little bit reassured that, they're the core part of the home care business, which is a caregiver taking care of a client. That's really going to be hard to replace by bots and AI and things like that. So I think that's more reassuring when I talk to folks that are looking to get into this industry, that it's not something that can be easily outsourced and easily replaced with AI, which is, I think, a great business model.
Yeah, I agree.
I was going to ask you, Jeff, about, to our audience, they're thinking about getting in the home care space. They come from any walk of life currently. They're interested maybe in a franchise or an individual office. What are some words of wisdom that you would tell them from a business perspective, as far as how these home care agencies do for operating a business, for the sale of the business, and then from like an internal fulfillment standpoint?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's a couple of things, like we talked briefly before, Lucas. They need to make sure they're coming into it for the right reason. We've probably all talked to people that said, I think the home care industry is just a massive growth potential, and I want to make millions of dollars. And although there is earnings potential, if you go into it for that reason, that's your motivating factor, that's going to be a problem. So it does need to be, they just need to make sure that they have both that business acumen and the financial goals, which are always important, but then also have that intangible, softer side, the compassion that we talked about briefly before. So with that in place, then I think people can definitely leverage their business acumen with that compassion for caring for others and making a difference in their local community as well. Franchise is not for everybody. So I know you and I both work with independents as well as franchisees, and I always tell people when they're looking at a franchise that they can do this on their own, and there are many people that have done it very, very successfully. So if someone is looking at a franchise, just don't think that is the end all be all. It may be the right fit for him or her, especially if they like to follow a system, follow a process, have some of the early brand building that's already been laid for them. Then the franchise could be the best possible fit. If they really do want to go it alone and do it their own way, and don't think they really want to follow a roadmap or a system or process, then going independent is definitely probably a better way. But there's a lot of tools out there that they can build their individual brand as well. And then lastly, I would just say to always go into it with your exit in mind, whether it's a franchisee or an independent, to just, and it doesn't have to be a perfect plan to where you said, I'm going to exit in 5 years and sell it, or I'm going to exit in 5 years and turn it over to my son or to my daughter. And that can change 3, 4, 5 years in. But they should spend some time thinking about how they want to exit before they even enter, because that can have an impact in the choice they make up front as well.
That's very good advice. That kind of leads into your type of client. So you do consulting work now, and you work with very big franchisors and then individual offices. What's your typical, maybe is not the right word, but what type of clients, if anybody's listening, what type of clients do you work with? Do you like to work with, and what can you assist an agency or maybe a franchise with?
Sure. Well, it is a kind of a diversified set. So I do work with independent operators that are both in private pay as well as Medicaid or third-party payer programs. I also work with franchisees, individual franchisees and systems, and then I also work with franchisors. Most of the time, the franchisors I work with are kind of more of the emerging brands, folks that, let's say, are less than 50 units, and are still trying to figure out their scalability and their systems and processes and how to leverage the experience that I have had. So those are the ideal clients. The independents, again, I really enjoy working with them because in many ways it's helping them systematize their business like it was a franchise, but without having the franchise structure. And there's often huge upside to an independent to try to help them scale using franchise-like systems.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The last question, Jeff, that I'm curious on your answer is the future. So if you're looking in the not too distant future for home care space, home care operators, the home care landscape, what does that look like? Does it look vastly different than it does today, or with your prognostication, what does that look like here in a few years?
Yeah, I think the future is very, very bright, Lucas. I remember, and you probably do too, 20 years ago, people were talking about this industry, and it was really kind of a new and emerging industry then, especially looking at senior demographics and the aging of our population in the U.S. And we talked 20 years ago about what 2030 would look like in 2040. So now fast forward to current times, I think the future is extremely robust. We've got at least another 20, 25, maybe 30 years of high growth ahead of us just based on pure demographics. And many of the technological innovations, the third-party payer program expansions with the VA, MCOs, long-term care insurance, as I've mentioned before, are all just wide open and still in need of additional providers in many, many markets. So I think the future is bright. It's never been an easy business. I always talk about it's a pretty simple business, but it's not an easy business. But the fact that it is simple and the barriers to entry are very, very low. So whether you're an independent or franchisee, it doesn't take a lot of investment. Certainly takes time. You'll probably work harder than you've ever worked. But I think the future is very, very bright, and the sky's the limit in how individual operations, individual brands, franchise systems can navigate moving forward.
Perfect. Awesome. That's a great way to end here. And then thank you for your time, for coming on to share your wisdom and expertise with our audience, and letting us know kind of what's going on from your perspective, and just sharing those thoughts. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for having me, and keep up the good work. You and your entire team, Lucas, are very valuable to our entire industry.
Awesome. Thank you again. Jeff Bevis, thank you for your time, and have a great day.
If you found this conversation valuable, please leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Also, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Business of Senior Care. We'll see you next time on Home Care. Doors open.